Is on page 170 of this book, Universal Prayers. If you have, it's on top of page 170. And if you have the book, you can join me in chanting this Shanti Mantra from the Shiva Mahimna Stotram. Om Namo Vednedishthaya Priyadavadavishthaya Cha Namo Namah Shodishthaya Smarahara Mahishthaya Cha Namaha Namo Varshishthaya Trinayanayavishthaya Cha Namo Namah Sarvasmai Te Tadidamati Sarvaya Cha Namaha Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Salutations to thee, O Lord, unattached, who are nearest and yet farthest. Salutations to thee, O destroyer of animal passions, who are the smallest of the small and yet the greatest of the great. Salutations to thee, O possessor of the highest wisdom, who are ancient and yet ever youthful. Salutations to thee, who art all things, seen and unseen, and yet beyond them all. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. And may there be peace everywhere in nature. So, Namaskar, good afternoon. Let us start with, last time we were doing verse number 56 in chapter 2, describing the qualities of a Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna is a liberated soul, Jivan Mukta, whose awareness, Prajna means awareness or consciousness, is always fixed in the self. Sthita means fixed. Fixed where? In the Atman within. For ordinary people, where is the awareness fixed? In the world. Most of the time, ordinary people think about the world, their own happiness, well-being, their job, their family, their children, finances, all other things, food, and so many things we are thinking about. Rarely, if we find some time, we think about God. But generally, our awareness is in the world, worldly matters. As opposed to this, for a Sthita Prajna, it is the opposite. He is always aware of his divine nature. According to the Upanishads, we are all divine potentially. Swamiji said each soul is potentially divine. We are all divine. Intrinsically, it is within us. Divinity, God is within us. But most of the time, most of the people, we are not aware of God's presence. We are not experiencing God's presence because of avidya, ignorance of our true nature. And all spiritual practices are to remove that ignorance of our true nature and experience our original intrinsic divine nature. Such a person who has reached that goal, always firmly established in the self, Sthita Prajna, what are his qualities? How does such a person behave? How does he act? How does he or she react to the world? What are his attitudes towards work, other people, etc. The description. The second purpose of this description, the list of qualities of Sthita Prajna that Sri Krishna gives in great detail, is a prescription, instruction for all of us to practice these virtues, and each one of us has to become a Sthita Prajna ourselves. It's not enough to know a Sthita Prajna. Each one of us has to become a Sthita Prajna. And we try to do it in this life. So to know that what we should do, these are the instructions, the qualities, virtues of Sthita Prajna we have to practice. So we were in the 56th verse. In the 55th verse, where the description of Vichita Prajna begins, Sri Krishna gave two qualities. First one is this Prajna has conquered all the desires. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan. First line of sloka number 55. There, Sri Krishna says, a person who has conquered all the desires that arise in the mind. Such a person is a Sita Prajna. One quality. Second quality is in the second line of sloka 55, which we read last time. Atmanyevatmana tushtaha. Tosha, santosha means contentment. Tushta means one who is contented with the self within the self, not depending upon outside objects and experiences for happiness, which is what ordinary people do. Ordinarily, people seek happiness in the world outside, in family, in good health, in youth, beauty, in well-being, in having good relationships, having property, good job, fame. All these things, we seek happiness in these things. As opposed to this, the prajna finds happiness within the self. That's where true happiness is. True happiness, lasting peace and joy, infinite eternal happiness is only found in the self within, in the Atman. Atman is described as Satchidananda, infinite Ananda. It is our true nature, we are that. But somehow, due to Maya, covered by Maya Avidya, we are not aware of that, we are not experiencing it. Such a person who is experiencing his divine nature is always steeped in the joy of the self, Atmananda, Brahmananda. Ordinary people are looking for happiness in Vishaya Sukha and Bhajanananda. The three kinds of happiness Sri Ramakrishna talks about. Three kinds of happiness in general. Three kinds of happiness. First happiness, where most people seek happiness, is in the sense objects outside. It's called Vishayananda or Vishaya Sukha. Vishaya means sense object. Any sense object. It can be another person, relationship, property, possessions, position, power, fame. All those things are outside objects. Vishaya Sukha. There we seek happiness. That we know is not not satisfactory. It does not give us always happiness. It brings some happiness, a lot of trouble. That's not the best way to find happiness, best place to seek happiness. Second kind of happiness which we can all do, and we are doing to some extent, is called Bhajanananda. Bhajana means worshipping God. Worshipping God in any way. Many different ways of worship are described in the scriptures. Some people do ritualistic worship, puja, archana, in the temples, at home. People do ritualistic worship, chanting mantras, offering incense, light, lamp, food, chanting mantras, hymns, all those things are ritualistic worship. It can be a simple worship, Panchopachara Puja. Pancha means five, Upachara means offering, five offering. Simplest kind of ritualistic worship called Panchopachara Puja. What are the five offerings? Gandha, Pushpa, Dhupa, Deepa, Naivedya. Gandha means sandal paste. When you do puja, we offer sandal paste. Pushpa means flower, we offer flowers. Dhupa means incense, we offer incense, we have incense. Deepa means light or lamp. The purpose of indicating lamp, waving lamp, is not to show light to God. He is already light. He is light himself. It is to enable the light of God within us to become enlightened, for us to become enlightened. That is the purpose. Deepa. And fifth one is Naivedya. Naivedya means food offering. It can be simple, like a few fruits or flower, a few fruits or sweets or whatever are very elaborate cooked meals. That's left to the convenience of the person who doing the worship. This is called Panchopachara Puja. Similarly, there are Dashopachara Puja, 10 offerings. Shodashopachara Puja, 16 offerings. And in temples on special occasions, they do 64 offerings. Chatushshati Pachara Puja, Chatushashti means 64 offering. That includes taking the deity in a procession around the city on a horseback or in a chariot, generally in a chariot or elephant. That procession and dance and music, all kinds of things are offered, chanting Vedic mantras, very elaborate. Over several days, it can go on. So in home, simple worship. That is one kind of worship. Pratima puja, ritualistic worship. Pratima means using a symbol like an image, like a Ganesha image, or a photo or a picture. Picture of can be any deity of your choice. It can be Saraswati, Lakshmi, Vishnu, Hanuman, Rama, Krishna, whatever is your chosen ideal. Keeping a photo or a picture or image, it can be a Shivalinga, formless aspect of God. It can be a Saligrama, formless aspect of God. That's our choice. Which symbol which you use to worship, that is the worshipper's choice. That is Pratima Puja. Second kind of worship is Japa Stotra. Japa Stotra, Adi Madhyama. Japa Stotra is second kind of worship. That is repeating the same name or mantra over and over again is called Japa. Japa is a very powerful means to purify the mind and reach our goal of realization. By Japa alone, one can reach the ultimate goal. Sri Ramakrishna and his disciples, they all emphasize the importance of Japa, doing Japa. Japa can be done using a mantra given by a guru or one's own mantra that has come down in the family tradition. Or Japa can be used by repeating a name of God, a name of your choice. Stotra means chanting hymns. Vedic hymns like Purusha Sukta, Narayana Sukta, Devi Sukta, Rudram, they all Vedic hymns, they can be chanted. People who know how to chant, they chant Vedic mantras. There are mantras in the Puranas and other places. The mantra chanting is part of puja. Japa Stotra di Madhyama. Third kind of worship is meditation on the self. Uttama Manasi Puja. On the self, we meditate without any external paraphernalia, no photo, no image, no flowers, no fruits, no mantra, but meditating on the self. I am Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. Like that, some meditation on one's divine self. That is difficult for most people. Some people can do that one. Like this, there are different kinds of worship. That is one way to find happiness, bhajanananda. First happiness in the world outside, property, possession, etc. Second happiness is bhajanananda, means the joy that comes by doing the worship of any kind, worship of your choice. Many people do it. Many people simply do their japa. Some people do japa and ritualistic worship combination. That combination is left to you. How much you can do, depending on your interest, ability, time available, and inclination, you can choose the combination. Third kind of happiness is what Chitta Prajna has. He does not have to do ritualistic worship. He has done all of those things to reach where he is now. And he finds happiness spontaneously all the time, 24 hours in the self with him. No need for any external object or activity to give him any additional happiness. He is so steeped in infinite joy that he cannot describe, that nothing outside can make it bigger happiness, that can add anything to the happiness he is already experiencing, maximum happiness. That is Atmanyev Atmana Tushta, second quality. Yes, the next verse, 56, which we are doing today, it has the quality of equanimity, always remaining calm. Let us chant verse number 56. We started this last night, we are going to complete it now. Shloka number 56. Dukkeshu nudvigna manoha sukheshu vigatas praha vitaraga bhayak krodha stitadhir muniruchyate. The first quality in this verse is very important, which all of us have to practice. Every day we get opportunity to practice equanimity of mind. Every day something happens that makes us happy or unhappy. We have to practice remaining equanimous, same-sighted, without any disturbance of the mind, even if something unpleasant happens. That's a very important quality for Chitta Prajna. for all of us to cultivate. Dukheshu, when dukkha happens, dukkha means unhappiness. Some kind of unhappy experience. It can be any problem, health problem, financial problem, family problem, any problem, job problem can happen. Dukkha will come. Unhappiness will come. When unhappiness comes, dukheshu, anudvignamanaha, unperturbed mind. Udvega means perturbance, disturbance in the mind. Udvega means disturbance, turbulence in the mind. Anudvignamana means a person whose mind is not perturbed, always remaining calm under all circumstances. When something is going well for us, we are happy, then we don't complain. Our mind is relatively in a good, stable position, calm. But something unpleasant happens, it is then that the test comes. Can we remain calm even when things are not going our way? That is the question. A Siddha Prajna is one who remains calm under all circumstances, sukha, dukkha, all those things. This quality of equanimity came earlier in the second chapter, you might remember. Same chapter we studied before, a few weeks before, the quality of equanimity. Sri Krishna says to Arjuna, you should remain equanimous. Where did that one come? Shloka number 38 in chapter 2. We studied that already. There Sri Krishna says, Sukha dukkhe same kritva, labha alabho jaya ajayo, tato yuddhaya yujyasva, naivam papamavapsyasi. Shloka number 38, which we studied, we have to remember that. Whenever we study something that has come before, we have to associate that one. By associating these ideas, the ideas becomes firmly fixed in our mind. Otherwise, if we keep on forgetting old slokas as we read new slokas, then that is not very useful. So always try to bring to your attention the earlier sloka which we studied on the same topic. Sloka 38, chapter 2. Dukkeshu nadignamanaha, coming back to 56. Sukheshu, when sukha comes, happiness comes, vigata spraha, free from desire to continue it. Spraha means desire or greed. Spraha means desire. Vigata spraha means free from desire to continue the happiness. It may or may not. Generally, these are all fleeting experiences. Sukha, dukkha, neither of them is permanent. Sometimes they seem to linger longer than we are unhappy. If sukha remains long, then we don't complain. Why am I so happy today that nobody says? When somebody is unhappy, they say, why am I unhappy today? Why me? Why am I suffering? That question we always ask. But Siddha Prajna has no such question. Sukha, dukkha, both are same to such a person. When somebody praises him, it does not become very happy. Oh, people are praising me. That happiness is, he does not become elated. Somebody blames him, even without any cause, people blame other people sometimes. They talk ill of other people without any reason. Even when that happens, they don't become disturbed at all. Everything is same for them. One day, Sri Ramakrishna went to somebody's house in Kolkata. He used to go to Kolkata very often to devotees' homes for satsang. So he went to somebody's house and he was asked to sit on a asana. The seat was made. He sat down there, and next to that seat there was a newspaper. Some newspaper was there, and he told the host to please remove the newspaper. He said newspaper contains only worldly news. For devotees, for seeking to know God, this worldly news is a distraction. In that newspaper, somebody had written a negative article criticizing Sri Ramakrishna. They told him, in this newspaper, there is an article somebody wrote criticizing you. He said, this is not matter to me. Whether people criticize me or blame me, I don't even want to know. Just take the newspaper away. He didn't pay any attention to when he was told that he was criticized in the newspaper. That is how Siddha Prajna remains. When people, whether people praise him or blame him, it's all the same to him. We generally react. When people praise, we become very happy, and people criticize, we become unhappy. That should not be done. We take everything in stride and remain calm. Let the mind not be perturbed by what other people think. We have no control about what other people think about us. Whatever they want, they will think. We should not try to challenge it or be affected by that one. We remain unaffected. in the famous Song of Sannyasin, I recommend that you study the Swami Vivekananda's famous poem called The Song of the Sannyasi, which he wrote in 1885 in Thousand Island Park when he was staying there in the summer of 1885. For 7 weeks, he stayed in the Thousand Island Park, small island on the St. Lawrence River. So 4 miles south of the Canadian border, the small islands are there. On one island, there is a cottage. One American devotee gave that cottage to Swamiji to stay for the summer weeks. There he did class every day, and somebody took notes of the class lectures and published it. That is known as the Inspire Talks. Inspire Talks is the class notes of Swamiji's classes, which he gave in Thousand Island Park in 1885, July, August, and it is also included in the complete works. There, when he was staying in the Thousand Island Park, he composed this Song of Sannyasin in an inspired moment. He was in Samadhi one day under a tree. The tree is still there, under which he sat down and experienced Samadhi. He wrote this poem. In that poem, he describes how a sannyasi should behave, Siddhaprajna should behave. He says equanimity, speaking about equanimity in praise and blame, Swamiji says, heed then no more, how body lives or goes, its task is done, let karma float it down, let one put garlands on, another kick this frame, say not, no praise or blame can be, for praiser praised and blamer blamed are one. Thus be thou calm, sannyasin bold, say Om Tat Sat Om. For a Siddha Prajna, praise and blame, happiness and unhappiness, gain and loss, everything is same. Nothing perturbs that person's mind. Dukhesh Randigdamana Sukesh Vigatas Praha. Then next line, 56. Vitaraga Bhaya Krodha. 3 qualities are combined into one phrase. Vita means one who has conquered. Raga Bhaya Krodha. Raga means attachment. Bhaya means fear. Krodha means anger. A Siddha Prajna does not have any attachment to anything. He has love but no attachment. Raga, Vita Raga. Raga means attachment. Bhaya means fear. Ordinarily, almost everybody has some kind of fear. And Swami, there was a famous king, also a poet and saint Bhartrhari, I think was in the 5th century. He wrote 3 famous works, each containing 100 slokas, shatakam. He wrote Sringara Shatakam, describing beauty. Sringara means beauty. Then he wrote Niti Shatakam, describing moral virtues, Niti. And the third one, which is famous, important for us, is Vairagya Shatakam, 100 verses on Vairagya, renunciation, detachment. There he says in one verse, Bhartrhari says in one verse, Sarvam mastu bhayanvitam bhuvindranam vairagyameva bhayam. Bhaya means fear. Sarvam mastu bhuvi. Bhuvi means on this world. In this world, everything is associated with fear, fraught with fear. Sarvam mastu bhayanvitam bhuvi. Pranam for people. What kind of fear? Supposing somebody has a lot of property, is afraid that somebody may snatch away the property. Stock market may plunge and may lose all the investment. That kind of fear will come for those who have money. For those who have a job, they are afraid that they may lose the job. For those who have everything going on, they are afraid something may go wrong. Those who are in good health, they are afraid that they may become sick. Like this, some fear or other is there in everybody's mind. But only one thing makes a person fearless. What is one thing that makes a person fearless is Vairagya. He says, Bhartrhari says in that sloka, Sarvam mastu bhayanvitam bhuvi drunam vairagyameva bhayam. Only Vairagya, detachment, can give total freedom from fear. Everything else is combined with fear. So the Siddha Prajna is totally free from fear. Fear of what? He is not afraid of losing property because he doesn't have any property. Even if he has, he is not attached to that one. He's not afraid that somebody may speak ill of him. It does not bother him at all. He's not afraid of death because he has overcome body consciousness. Body has to go someday, sooner or later. He is not the body, he is the Atman. Atman has no death. That is one in second chapter. Atman has no death. No birth, no death. Where did we see that one in second chapter? Shloka number 20. Please remember Shloka number 20. Key important verse in the whole of Gita. There, the nature of Atman is described. Najayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyah ajo nitya shashvato yam purano nahanyate hanyamane sharire. Yes, Atman is, it has no birth. Najayate, it does not take birth. It's already there. It was always there, is always there. Namriyate, does not die. It will always be there. Like this, the Ashuta Prajna knows he is the Atman. So there is no fear of death. Body will die, that everybody has to accept. Body is made of material matter, and sooner or later it will degenerate and will go one day. So he is not afraid of death. There is no fear of any kind. Vitaraga bhaya. No fear of any kind for Chitta Prajna. So how to overcome fear? That's the next topic. People like us who have fear, all kinds of fear. How can we overcome fear? There are two ways to do that one. One way is to pray to God, make us free from all kind of fear, to take refuge in God, to surrender to God's will, and accept whatever happens, good or bad, with equanimity, and pray to God for freedom from fear. Whatever you want, you should pray to God for that one. Make me free from fear. Like this, we can pray to God. In the Ramnam Sankirtan, we say, Kamadi dosaritam kurumanasam cha, O Lord Sri Raghava, Sri Ramchandra, make my mind free from kama, krodha, lobha, bhaya, fear, etc. Prayer is one way to overcome fear. Second way devotee overcome fear is to remain content with what happens in life as ordained by God. God has promised, we will study in the 9th chapter, God has promised he will take care of the devotees. There in the 9th chapter, Shloka number 22, we will study that when we get there. Sri Krishna Bhagavan has said, God has said that he will take care of all his devotees. Ananyas chintayanto amam yejana paryupasate tesham nitya viyuktanam yogakshemam mahamyaham. Shloka 22, chapter 9. There Bhagavan has promised yogakshemam mahami. I will take care of whatever you need, whatever you have. Yoga means providing what we need. God will provide what we need. But we have to do our part of prayer and remaining on the right path and going to work every day. Whatever we have to do, that we have to do. But He will provide what is needed. Yoga means providing what is necessary for our life. Basic needs, food, clothing, place to stay, all those things will be provided. No need to worry for a devotee. Devotee has no anxiety, no worry. He will provide. That faith is there in the words of God. Kshema means protecting what we have, preserving what we have, protection. You provide protection. So if we have that unshakable faith in the word of God, the promise he has made, then there is nothing to fear. Devotee who has full faith in the word of God, he has surrendered his life to God, so what is there to be afraid of? That is devotee's way of becoming free from fear. Prayer and surrender to the will of God. Second way to become free from fear is the Jnani's way. Jnani is a little bit more difficult. Jnani says, of what am I afraid? I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am the Atman. Atman is not afraid of anything. There is nothing else beside Atman to be afraid of. Fear comes from the second object. In the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, there is a passage which says, to describe the cause of fear. Why fear comes in the first place? If you understand the cause, then we can find the solution. The cause of fear is perceiving multiplicity. It is the Jnani's method, not easy for devotees to follow. But you will have to know it anyhow. You can know it anyhow. Jnani says there is no second object. Only Atman, I am the Atman. Atman is only one. Ekameva Advitiyam. Chandogya Upanishad says Atman is one alone. There is no second. If there is only one, what is the cause of fear? Fear has to come from some other outside source. If I am alone, nobody else is there. No burglar is there, no snake is there, no ghost is there. Nobody is there to give me any trouble. Then of what am I afraid? Only Atman is there. So Jnani becomes free from fear by remaining established in the Atman, which is Ekameva Advityam, one alone. No fear, no cause for fear. So Jnani says, I'm not the body, I'm not the mind. All problems come only to the body and the mind. Any problem that we can think of comes to where? To the body and the mind. It does not touch the Atman. Atman is free from any problem. So I am the Atman, so what problem is there? What is there to be afraid of? Jnani says, I am the Atman, no fear. Bhakta surrenders to will of God, prays to God, and has complete faith in the promise of God that He will take care of me if I am devoted to Him. So Sloka 22, chapter 9. Yogaksema Mahamya, very famous sloka in the Gita. So that way, Chitta Prajna becomes free from fear. Vitaraga Bhaya, Krodha. Third thing. Third thing is anger. Anger is a very bad thing. Anger comes because of our desire not being fulfilled. We have some desire. We have some expectation that things will go this way. If it does not go that way, we become angry. Anger comes because of frustration, because of disappointment, because something that we expected did not happen. People did not behave the way we expect them to behave, they also become angry. Child disobeyed, I become angry. Or the co-worker did not do his work, so I become angry. Like this, some cause, outside cause is there for anger. I don't become angry with myself generally. That also happens sometimes, but not generally. So krodha means anger. Anger can be overcome by prayer and by vichara. Pray to God to make my mind free from anger. That is, prayer always works for everything. One solution for all problems. Second way to become free from anger is vichara. Why am I angry? What is the cause of my anger? Why should I become angry? Whatever the problem is, I can face it calmly without becoming angry. If I become angry, I will lose my ability to think clearly. People become insane temporarily when they become angry. When they are under the influence of anger, they do things and say things which they would not ordinarily do. When they are not angry, they will not do such things. They will not say such things. But when they are angry, they say all kinds of things, do all kinds of things. Later, when the anger goes away, they regret. Why did I do that? Why did I say that? So anger is a very bad thing. So we should become free from anger. We should try to remain calm, no matter what the situation is. Ritaraga Bhaya Krodha, such a person, Sitadihi, whose mind is, Dhi means intellect or mind, Sita means fixed in the self. Sitadihi, Muni Ruchate. Muni means one who remains, one who has maunam. Mananat Muni, Maunat Muni. Mananam means always reflecting on the self. That is Muni. Muni always reflects on the self, not on the world outside. Second meaning of maunam is one who remains silent in the mind. Silence is not verbal silence. We can remain silent verbally, not saying anything, but our mind can be thinking of all kinds of things. Then that is not silence. Silence is of the mind. Some people will say, I'm silent today. I'll observe silence on Thursdays. They will say something. On Thursdays, they won't speak, but they'll communicate in all other ways. They will send text messages. They will put post-it notes on the refrigerator. They will do sign language, body language. They will do like this if they are hungry. That is not silence. Simply not speaking is not silence. Silence means mind must be calm, free from unnecessary thoughts. So Muni means such a person. Chitarir Muni Ruchate. So verse number 56 has so many qualities. Dukkeshwanadyagnamanaha, remaining calm in dukkha. Sukheshvagataspraha, remaining free from desire and too much exaltation in sukha. Conquering raga bhaya krodha, attachment, fear and anger, and mind fixed in the self always. Chitadir Muni Ruchate. Similar slokas come later in the subsequent chapters, so I'll point them out to you when they come. Now we go to sloka number 57. This also equanimity, very important quality for a spiritual aspirant. Yasarvatra nabhisnehastattat prapya shubha shubham nabhinandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratishtita. Yasarvatra anabhisneha tattat prapya shubha shubham Nabhinandati nadveshti Tasya prajna pratishtita. Prajna means awareness. Pratishtita means established in the self. Such a person is the prajna. How does such a person react to the events in life? That is described here. Sarvatra means under all circumstances, in all places, at all times, sarvatra. Shubha ashubham prapya. Shubha means good. Ashubha means not good. Good happens, bad happens. We can't control what happens when. We have to accept both and remain calm. Shubha ashubham prapya. Anabhisneha means unattached. Sneha means attachment, sticking, sticky. Sneha means, anabhisneha means one who remains detached from sukha and dukkha. Let sukha come, I'll accept it. When dukkha comes, I'll accept it. I'll not overreact. I'll do what is needed, but no reaction, no disturbance in the mind. Remaining calm in sukha and dukkha, especially in dukkha. In sukha, we don't have that problem. There also people can become very arrogant and proud and assume it will continue forever. And sukha comes, that's not going to be the case. Soon, in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, situation will change 180 degrees. What was thought to be a very good time turns out to be very bad. It doesn't take much time for things to change. It can happen quickly. In a moment, things can change. Everything is going well. In a moment, things go bad. That we know from experience. So, Sthita Prajna does not become attached to Sukha or Dukkha. Anabhisneham, Subha Shubham Prapya, Anabhisneham. When Shubha comes or Shubha comes, Sthita Prajna remains unattached. Both will come, both are welcome. Come, welcome, thank you for coming. Stay as long as you want to. When you leave, thank you for leaving. That way will always remain calm. When Sukha comes, she says, welcome, Sukha has come. Stay as long as you can. Sukha leaves, thank you for coming. Goodbye. When Dukkha comes, thank you for coming. Stay as long as you like. When Dukkha leaves, thank you for leaving. That way, no disturbance in the mind, no attachment. Nabhinandati does not rejoice when Sukha comes. When Sukha comes, sometimes when good things happen, people become too much exalted. They celebrate in inordinate ways and become very happy, joyful, loud celebration. That is Abhinandana. Nabhinandati. When Sukha comes, so the prajna remains calm. It does not exalt too much and celebrate too much in an exuberant way. It remains calm. Sukha comes. Nadveshti. When Asukha comes, does not hate. Dvesha means hatred. And when something unpleasant happens, he does not curse and become angry and yell and scream at everybody. Something has happened, but the person becomes angry and screams at everybody who has nothing to do with the situation. With them also, he will become unhappy, as if they are responsible. Nobody is responsible. Nobody is responsible for our happiness and happiness. Our own karma plays out in our life. So we should not blame anybody. First thing is not to blame anybody. Reason is within us. Swami Vivekananda has said, no sorrow comes to any person except as one has paved the way for it oneself. I have done something to warrant this asukha, this unhappiness or sukha, it has come. You should not blame anybody. Nobody else is responsible. They may be the proximate cause. Proximate cause means the dukkha may appear to come through somebody. It has to have some medium or agency. They may happen to be the agent, but they are not the cause. It is just like blaming the kitchen faucet when dirty water comes from the faucet. Kitchen faucet delivers whatever water is stored in the tank or supplied to the pipeline. The faucet is not responsible for the dirty water. If you break the faucet because dirty water came, what will the faucet do? You have to repair it yourself. So we should not blame other people. Though they may appear to be the cause of the unhappiness, they are only the agent. They are not the cause. Cause is our own karma. They happen to be the medium or channel. They happen to be the messenger of the bad news. If the news is bad, we should not punish the messenger for conveying bad news. He is a letter carrier. He brings the message. Good or bad, he is not responsible. So no blaming anybody else. We should take it calmly. Anadveshti. When asukha comes, no anger, no dvesha, no retaliation, no revenge. No revenge. He is not responsible. I will face what is necessary to be done. The problem has come, I will remain calm. If you remain calm, we can creatively deal with the problem. If we become upset, then we lose the ability to think creatively, calmly, then we don't react properly. We make wrong choices and react in a wrong ways, complicating the problem. Therefore, it's important to remain calm when problems come. Nadveshti Satya Prajna Pratishtita, Nabhinanditi Nadveshti. Not rejoicing when good happens, not becoming upset or angry when bad happens, remaining calm under all circumstances. A very important quality. Sri Krishna talks about equanimity many places in the Gita. Already twice, three times it has come. Equanimity has come already three times in the second chapter. Now we go to sloka number 58. Controlling sense organs. See the topic. Sloka 58. Yada samharate chayam Kurmonganiva sarvashaha Indriyani indriyarthebhya Tasya prajna pratishtita Yada sammarate chayam Kurmonganiva sarvashaha Indriyani indriyarthebhya Tasya prajna pratishtita. The translation is, when a Sthita Prajna withdraws his senses from their objects, just as a tortoise does his limbs from all sides, his wisdom is stable. So let us understand, separate the words first. I am means Sthita Prajna, this person. I am means he, this person, Sthita Prajna. Sarvashaha Angani Samharate. Anga means sense organs. 5 sense organs of perception, Jnanendriyas, 5 sense organs of action, Karmendriyas. Only 10 sense organs. Mind is also 11 sense organs. Withdrawing all the sense organs. Samharate means withdrawing from sense objects. Kurma, yatha kurma. Kurma means a tortoise. When a tortoise senses some danger, it withdraws all the 4 limbs and its head also into the shell. Remains completely protected within the shell. Shell is very hard to break. Nothing happens to shell. It is safe inside the shell. In the same way, when a person is faced with too many sense objects, the prajna, so many things happening. Just like in a shopping mall, so many shops are there selling so many things. Food court is there, all kinds of food, everything. Ordinary person becomes tempted to buy all those things. When he says, "Oh, I want to buy this, I want to buy it. I want to eat that Korean food or some Thai food or some other ethnic food." Like this, temptation comes. Sense object means temptation. Mind will be drawn to that sense object. Such a thing does not happen to a Sthita Prajna. It withdraws its sense organs, remains calm within self. Where does it withdraw to? In the self, Atmani. Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha. Does not let the sense organs roam freely in the sense objects. That's cause of temptation. It remains calm. Yada samharate, withdraws angani, savasha, from all sides, all the sense organs. Yatha kurmaha, in the same way as a tortoise does. Indriyani samharate, all the indriyani sense organs, 10 sense organs. Mind also can be included as a sense organ. We have 11 sense organs, including mind. Indriyani, from where? Indriyarthebhyaha, from sense objects. So many sense objects are there all around us all the time. If we let the mind go towards all the sense objects, then you're always roaming in the sense objects. There is no time to dwell on the Atman inside. Mind is always engaged in the sense objects. Eyes are watching something interesting, ears are hearing something interesting, tongue is tasting something interesting. Like this, all the sense organs are busy with sense objects. Mind is also busy with sense objects. Where is the time to think about God or Atman? Ordinary person's plight. Sthita Prajna does not do that. He does not become attached to sense objects, does not attach his sense organs to sense objects, withdraws all the sense organs, makes them focus on the self. Like sitting in meditation. This is what we do when we sit in meditation. When you sit down for meditation or japa, we close the eyes. We are not looking who came to the meditation hall, somebody is wearing pants or dhoti, that type of thing, we should not pay attention to that only. Anybody goes, whether come late or early, no attention to other people. Close your eyes, don't look around, see who is doing what. Second thing is, and don't hear any sound. If there is some noise coming in, then we should close the door, no noise. No cell phone, turn off the cell phone, no phone call during meditation time. Like all the sense objects are pushed away, sense organs are drawn into the mind. Eyes is not seeing anything, but closing the eyes. Here not hearing anything, and sense of hearing is directed inwards, hearing the sound of the Atman, mind. Like this one, when meditation means we withdraw sense organs from sense objects. Chitta Prajna does it all the time. He's not attaching his mind and sense organs to sense objects. He remains unaffected by sense objects. So he's surrounded by sense objects. We're all surrounded by sense objects all the time. We live in the world of sense objects. But Chitta Prajna does not let the sense organs go and attach themselves to sense objects. He withdraws them like a tortoise does. Ordinary person lets the sense organs roam freely in the world of sense objects. That is the cause of distraction, numerous distractions. There's a very nice verse in the Vivekachudamani. Those of you who studied Vivekachudamani Swamiji, Atmajnanji, they may remember this verse. There, Shankaracharya compares this whole world to a forest of sense objects and the mind to a tiger. Shankara compares the mind to ordinary person mind to a tiger. A tiger, what does it do? It roams freely in the forest. So the mind of an ordinary person like a tiger roams freely in the outside world, attached to all sense objects. No time to think about God or the Atman. Manonama Mahavyagra Vishayoranya Bhumishu Charati. Anunama Mahavyagra means great big tiger. The mind is a big tiger, ordinary person's mind. Vishayoranya Bhumi means in the forest of sense objects. The whole world is a forest of sense objects. Everywhere you see sense objects. Charati freely roams about ordinary person's mind in the world of sense objects. Sadhavoye mumukshabaha, those sadhus who are mumukshu, desiring for liberation, atra nagachantu, they should not go to this world of sense objects. Stay within the self, within the mind. That is Chitta Prajna. Indriyani indriyarthebhya tasya prajna pratishtita. Such a person is called Chitta Prajna. There's a very nice verse in the Katha Upanishad which gives the reason why sense organs want to go to sense object. We have to know the cause. Why I want to always see something pleasant? Why does the ear always want to hear something pleasant? Why does it happen? That reason is explained in the Katha Upanishad. There, Yama says to Nachiketa, the verse is very interesting, oft quoted verse. Paranchikani vitrana swayambhu tasmat parang pashyati nantaratman kaschidiraha pratyagatmanamayakshat avrata chakshuhu amritattamichan. Very nice verse in the Katha Upanishad. There, Yama says, the sense organs, 5 sense organs, especially of Jnanendriyas, perception, they are naturally made that way by the Creator. Swayambhum is the Creator. He created the sense organs, put the blame on God, why the sense organs go outside. He created the sense organs in such a way that they naturally gravitate towards sense objects. Therefore, an ordinary person, Tasmat Parang Pashyati, an ordinary person sees everything outside. The Parak means outside. We know everything what's happening in the whole world. What is happening in some other country, in India, what's happening in the politics. Ruth Bader Ginsburg died today, and all the political things that are happening. You know everything about what is happening, up-to-date news we know. 24-hour news channels. But what's happening inside, we don't have any idea what's happening inside our mind. Antaratman na pashyati. Antaratma means the self within. Na pashyati. Ordinary person does not see. Sees the world outside. Parang pashyati na antaratman. Kashchidira, a rare person. Dhira means a wise person endowed with wisdom and strength. Such a person is called a dhira. Kashchidira, a rare dhira, wise person endowed with strength. Such a person, pratyagatmana maikshat, sees the self within. Pratyagatmana is self within. God within. Pashyati, he sees God within. How does he do that one? Well, other people only look at the outside world, but Sutta Prajna sees the Atman inside. How do they do that one? He says, Avrta Chakshuhu. Avrta Chakshu means eyes. Eyes means all the sense organs. Here also, hear, smell, touch, everything. Avrta means turning them inward. Instead of going outside, or like ordinary people do, look inside. Think about don't think about the world, what other people are doing, what they are wearing, what they are eating, which restaurant. Don't think about all those things. About the Atman all the time. Minimum necessary engagement with sense objects. Only minimum necessary. Unnecessary engagement with sense objects is counterproductive to spiritual seekers. Such a person is a Sthita Prajna. Indriyani indriyarthebhyah samharate. Withdraws sense organs from sense objects. Makes the sense organs and the mind dwell on the self within all the time. Such a person is a Sthita Prajna. Very important quality. This is called Pratyahara. Patanjali's Yoga Sutra calls it Pratyahara, means withdrawing sense organs from sense objects, making them dwell on the self within. Now we go to number 59. We still have some time. 59, 60. 62 is my favorite verse, 62, 63. Okay. 59. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. When a person is denied access to sense objects, the sense objects fall away from such a person. But the desire for sense objects will remain in the mind. The desire will not go away. It will stay inside the mind, waiting for an opportunity. When is a person deprived of sense objects? 2 or 3 reasons. A person is sick in a hospital bed or in his own home, he is confined to a bed, cannot get up and go out, and you worried about the body problem, pain and everything. Such a person has no access to sense object. He is not watching a movie, he is not worried about wearing a garment of his choice or driving a car. Those things don't come to such a person. Sense objects drop away. So there is no access to sense objects because of sickness. Second reason why a person is deprived of sense objects is when a person is confined to in a jail or some such situation, when there is no access to anything. But desire will be there in the mind. Desire will not go away. Rasavarjam means the desire for inside the mind will remain intact for sense objects. There is no access to sense objects in a physical sense, but the mind is thinking about sense objects all the time. Asya param drishtva rasamapi nivartate. Rasam means the taste for sense objects. Rasa means the finer taste, desire for sense objects also goes away when param drishtva, only when you see the Supreme, then only all desires will go away. Until then, until the last moment, desires will stay. Even at the deathbed, people have desire. Oh, I have to see my grandchild. Oh, I have not written that in the will. Some such thought will come to the last person. Instead of thinking about God, people think about worldly things. Why did I not do that one? Why did I do that one? Like this regret and all those thoughts will come generally. But for a devotee, that should not happen. Devotee should only think about God at the last moment. In the 8th chapter, there are several verses 5, 6, and 13. We'll study them later. There Sri Krishna says, a devotee or seeker of knowledge, mumukshu or jignasu, such a person, any spiritual person, should only think about God at the last moment of life. Whatever thought is uppermost in our mind at the last moment of our life, that will be our destination. If I think about God at the last moment of my life, I'll go to God. God is my destination. If I think about money, in the last moment of my life, I'll come back to earn more money and deal with money next life. If I think about children, grandchildren, in the last moment, I'll come back again, have a large family, children, grandchildren. Whatever I think about in the last moment, that indicates the destination where I am going to go. So we should think about God in the last moment. To be able to do that one, we should think about God all the time. It won't suddenly come. If I'm thinking about all the worldly things all my life, at the last moment, I won't be able to think about God. Whatever I'm thinking about very often, that thought will come to my mind by habit. So if I practice thinking about God all the time, then there is a high probability I'll be thinking about God in the last moment. Therefore, Sri Krishna says in the 8th chapter, Tasma Sarveshu Kaleshu Ma Manusmara. Sarveshu Kaleshu, at all times, Ma Manusmara, remember me, so that I can remember God in the last moment. So here, for a person who is deprived of sense objects, he's thinking about sense objects. He has no access to sense object, but the mind is thinking about sense object. How nice it will be if I can have such a nice meal. He's not unable to eat anything because he's intubated, lying in the bed. But mind is hankering for a good meal. Ordinary person's mind. When does the desire go away? It does not go away with death also. Rebirth also desire will be there. Desire goes away only when a person sees the self, Atman. Param Drishtva. Last two words in the 59th verse. Param Drishtva Rasamapi Asya Nivartate. Nivartate means goes away. Rasa means the taste. Taste for sense objects will completely go away only when we see God. Param Drishtva. Param means Brahman or God. When we see the self, experience our divine nature, then all desire for any worldly object will completely go away. No desire at all. Such a person, totally free from desire for sense objects, is a Siddha Prajna. That we saw in the 56th verse. Rasavarjam Rasopyasya Param Drishtva Nivartate. In the Mundaka Upanishad, it's already 2 o'clock. No, 3 o'clock. In Mundaka Upanishad, there is a very famous verse which says, when you realize God, 3 things happen. 3 things happen only when you realize God, not before that moment. What are the 3 things that happen? It says, Vidyate hridaya grantihi, chidyante sarva samshayaha, kshiyante chasya karmani, tasmin drishte paravare. When that Brahman, Parabrahman is known or seen, God is seen, 3 things happen. First thing is, Vidate Hridaya Granthi, all the knots, Granthi means knot, knot means skein, moti knot, tied up. Our hearts are tied up with all kinds of knots, desire, anger, jealousy, fear, all these are knots that tie us up. All the knots will go away, completely dissolve. Vidyate Hridaya Granthi, at the time of realization of the self. Second thing that happens, Chidyante Sarva Samshaya. Samshaya means doubt. Until last moment, doubt will be there. Is it like this or is it like this? Upanishad says everything is Brahman. Can it be true? Or something that somebody said many years, 1,000 years ago. How can it be true? That doubt will remain. Sarva Samshaya Chidyante. All doubts will go away completely, permanently, never come back. And no more doubt. Certainty will come. Third thing that happens is Kshiyante Chasya Karmani. All karma, Prarabdha karma, everything will Prarabdha karma will remain until body remains. Sanchita karma, Agami karma will, all karma will cease to bother, affect that person, free from karma. These 3 things happen. Only when it happens, Param Drishtva, when you see the ultimate goal of realization. So we'll stop here. We'll continue from 60th verse onwards next time. And if you have questions, you can ask me now, or you can send me email. What happens first? Realization comes first, or the knots will go first? Both will happen at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. We have to try to become free from all the knots. Knots means the impurities of the mind. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, lust, anger, greed, jealousy. Those are knots. You have to try to become free from them. When you become free from the realization comes, they will go away permanently.
What is the third thing?
Hmm?
Third thing. You said 3 things. Which is the third thing?
karma, kshiyante chasya karma, all karma, sanchita karma, agami karma will go away.
Go away.
Prarabdha will remain as long as the body remains.
Okay, good.
Closing prayer.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Swamiji,
Okay,
Ah,
bye.
one more question. Who is?
Swamiji,
Ah,
I like Swamiji.
ah,
The Thousand Island lectures where Swami Vivekananda wrote Sannyasian poetry. It happened in 1895. Unconsciously, I think you said 1885.
1895.
1895.
1885. 1885, he went to Thousand Island Park.
1895, Swamiji.
95.
995. I said 85.
That's what I want to clear up,
No,
Swamiji.
I misspoke.
Yes.
Thank you for
Yes.
correcting me.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I mean 1995. He came in 93, so cannot be in 85.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I kept saying 85. Wrong.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Namaskar, Swamiji.
Namaskar. So let me say
Namaskar.
closing prayer now. If you can join me if you like. Om Sarve Bhavantu
Bhavantu
Sukhinaha.
Sukhina.
Sarve Santu Niramayaha. Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu. Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy. May all be free from diseases. May all realize what is noble and auspicious. May everybody become free from suffering for all time to come. Om, peace. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. And may there be peace everywhere in nature. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all and stay well and see you all next week. God bless.